Muslims are not all terrorists, asserted the Muslim managing director of a major Arab television station. But it is certain, he continued while acknowledging feelings of deep shame, that almost all terrorists are Muslims. What a provocative soundbite on a major Arab channel. It's one that can seem to make even more reasonable the question, why don't Muslims condemn terrorism? Good question, right? But notice it presumes that Muslims don't condemn terrorism. That presumption is wrong. They do condemn it. However, you'd have almost no chance of knowing that from your news sources. My name is Bill Vendley. I am a Catholic theologian and work in the area of religion with the Fetzer Institute. For the last 3 decades, I served as the leader of Religions for Peace, the world's largest multi-religious coalition, working for peace in over 90 countries. Some of these countries are the most terror-afflicted places on earth. Working shoulder to shoulder with Muslims around the world, I know firsthand they condemn terrorism. Let me share the kind of experiences I have had. They are widespread on the grassroots level, but only rarely make the news. If you were in northeast Kenya and taking the bus to the city of Mandera on December 21, 2015, you would have tasted terror. There were about 50 people on the bus, mostly Muslims, when it was attacked by the terrorist group Al-Shabaab. The terrorists demanded that the Muslims on the bus identify the Christians so they could be put off the bus and killed. The Muslims on the bus first tried to protect the Christians by passing articles of their traditional Islamic clothing to them. The crisis escalated. The Muslims on the bus refused to budge on the terrorist demands, and finally they gave the terrorists a counter-ultimatum. Leave the Christians alone or kill us all. The terrorists backed down. Honestly, the ordinary Muslims on the bus would be puzzled by the question, why don't Muslims condemn terrorism? I have experienced similar courage in country after country, like the case of the 83-year-old Imam Abu Bakr of Nagar village in northern Nigeria. On June 24, 2018, Muslim Fulani herdsmen are suspected of invading the area and killing several hundred persons, leaving another 300 persons, including 262 Christians, fleeing for their lives. I hid the women in my personal house. And after that, I took the men into the mosque and hid them there, Imam Abu Bakr shared. Then the marauding terrorists came to the mosque, demanding that all Christians be turned over to them. The elderly imam walked out alone to confront the mob. He offered to exchange his life to protect those he had hidden. He saved 300 persons, mostly Christians. In Syria, my bishop friend wept as he told me how the local imam protected him and his community in a time of chaos and rampant terrorism. Standing before his entire mosque community, the imam called my bishop friend forward to stand beside him. Then the imam called his little 5-year-old son to come stand next to the bishop. In a strong, loving, and fatherly voice, the imam said, "Sonny, Sonny, kiss the hand of our bishop. To make sure everyone understood his lesson, he repeated it. He called his 7-year-old daughter forward. "Daughter, daughter," he said, "kiss the hand of our bishop." The bishop wept as he told me the story of how the imam, using the language of family and courtesy so treasured by Muslim cultures, protected him from terrorism. I could go on and on about the courage and kindness of ordinary Muslims standing up to terrorism on the grassroots level. These unsung acts of courage are just part of everyday life. Drowned out by the hideous spectacle of terrorist acts, they are almost never covered in the news. Terror in the name of Islam is evil. All, especially Muslims, need to condemn it. But we need to be careful if we are not to fall into its ugly trap. Terrorism is designed to create fear and revulsion. Terrorists know that if they can create fear and revulsion, they can tear us apart. The more terrorism, the more fear and revulsion. The more fear and revulsion, the greater the polarization. The greater the polarization, the easier to foster hatred. The colder the hatred, the easier to provoke a response to terrorism by vilifying, even wanting to hurt an entire group. This twisted logic, this vicious cycle, spirals ever deeper into a sinkhole of darkness. This sinkhole of darkness needs not more violence, but light. It needs the light of decency, the light of standing in each other's shoes, the light of courage, the light of care for each other. Thank you. I'm Bill Vendley for the Amir Stein Center.